There's 9 people out there. Thank you for being patient, guys. It's been a bit of a chaotic afternoon. But let me know who's out there. Thank you for waiting for me. I know we're 5 minutes late or so. Today, here with Paddle Pop. And before I get started, we want to, as always, shout out a couple of our Patreon supporters. So there's our big supporters, Perth Reptile Relocations, Warrnambool Wildlife Encounters. There's Jeremy DeHaan's Snake Catching, and there's all the other wonderful Patreon supporters as well. So thank you very much, guys. But the topic of tonight's video, and hopefully we get a few more people jump on, is this is going to be our last live stream for a little while. I can get more into it a little bit later on, I suppose, unless there's no questions or anything going on. But basically, our live streams, our videos have been a fantastic part, and will hopefully stay a fantastic part of our of Wicked Wildlife. It's a huge part of what we are, and it's the reason why we've managed to survive the last 18 months, 2 years, things like this. So, the support we've got from you guys, not just our Patreon supporters, but everybody who watches, everybody who shares our videos, subscribes to our YouTube channel, follows us on Facebook. You guys are all amazing, and I deeply, deeply appreciate them all. The last few months, we've seen a surge in our bookings again, which is fantastic. We are booked the whole way through the summer holidays, into January, February. So it's very exciting, and we're able to do that because you guys helped us survive. But most of you guys will know, I work full-time as well. I work Monday to Friday. I've got a full-time job like everybody else. We do this on top of it, not just the shows, but look after all these animals and try and put out a video every Sunday and the live stream every Tuesday. And we have a 10-week-old baby. So unfortunately, something's got to give at least for a little while. And I really don't want to let our Sunday videos go. They're what everybody subscribes for. They're our best way of educating people. So for the next few weeks, maybe 6 weeks or so, basically over this summer holiday period, I think we're going to have to basically skip over the live streams for a while, which makes me feel terrible. I know you guys support me all. You guys are all fantastic. So I feel like I'm letting some people down, but currently we're doing like 60, 70 hours a week. And, I deal with animals every day that could kill me. So we've, sorry, Lucas, you got to go. Every day I deal with these potentially dangerous animals, not just my venomous snakes, but in my day job as well. I'm dealing, in some risky environments. So I can't afford to burn myself out, especially as, father of 2 kids at home. So yes, today will be our last live stream, at least for a little while. I will try and get back to it as soon as we can. We have some massive plans over the next 12 months. So if everything works out, it's a bit shaky at the moment, but if everything works out, there'll be some big things. I promise it'll be worth waiting for. But if you haven't noticed, the last couple of weeks we haven't been doing live streams, and I just feel bad not doing them. I'd rather hop on, talk to you guys and say, look, this is why I'm away. Because, I hate the idea of you guys putting your valuable time aside on a Tuesday night and me being able to turn up some Tuesdays and not other Tuesdays. So, yeah, we've had to make a decision one way or the other, and no live streams for a while. But who have we got out there? We're on a skeleton crew tonight, which I appreciate because, we haven't been here very much lately. Looking for Death Adder in Victoria, mate. Any ideas? Obviously a captive Death Adder. I don't know anybody off the top of my head. There's a Facebook group, Aussie Lapids. It's a good idea. G'day, Basil. How are you? Tamara. Hello, Tamara. Thank you for coming with your big moderator boot. You'll have a bit of a holiday for a while after this. Andrew, yeah, I'm okay. I'm tired, and some of you guys who know me sort of outside videos know that I am a little bit prone to burning myself out, and I just can't afford to do that at the moment. So, do I have a Russell's Viper, mate? I love the mini snakes. I would love to meet a Russell's Viper. Unfortunately, we can only keep native Australian snakes, which includes our venomous snakes. So, I was asked, a couple of years ago, if I had the chance to present a documentary, where would it be? And I said India in a heartbeat. The big 4 in India: the Russell's Viper, the Sausguard Viper, the Indian Crate, and the Indian Cobra. Amazing. I'd love to see them, but unfortunately, no, I can't keep them. Do red kangaroos interact with grey kangaroos in captivity? Also, can red kangaroos stand 2 meters? Yeah, there's lots of records of, when I say records, you know, people seeing them and saying it's that big. There's lots of records of red kangaroos reaching 2 meters once they're stretched up. That's obviously not their resting pose. You know, they're a bit like us. You stand up for a photo, you gain a few inches. And reds are the same. They look big in front of each other, but out in the paddock, they're hunched over. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if there was, you know, a few 2 meter reds running around. In captivity, the two species, you know, get along, they cohabitate. They don't seem to interact with each other very much, but whether or not some facilities have them hand-reared together, that they might be more active. But the facilities I've dealt with, you see the red kangaroos hang out in one area, and the grey kangaroos hang out in the other a little bit. Merry Christmas to you too, Sue. It's your birthday, and it better be a good life. I hope it's a good life, Tamara. Brutus, who I think is one of your favourites. I've spent the last 10 minutes, which is why I'm late, helping him get the last bit of ugly shed skin off. He's been shedding his skin. I thought he wasn't going to go to tomorrow, but he's got 90% off when I came in, so I thought I'll help him get the last bit off. So we can get Brutus out. We're going to get out a few other venomous snakes. We'll take out a few pythons. So yeah, I'll try and make this live worth hanging around for. Had 2 Darwin carpet pythons, lots of bearded dragons, water dragons. I love water dragons. Beardies and Darwins too, but water dragons I think are really cool. Yeah, everybody say happy birthday to Tamara. Happy birthday to Tamara. So, most of you guys who subscribe already, you'll know this fella here, of course. This is Paddle Pop before we get into the venomous stuff. And Paddle Pop is our Australian water python who is well and truly taken to doing shows and back on educational stuff. He's done, I don't know, half a dozen birthdays lately. And over the summer, we're flat chat. We're at caravan parks every Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday, and every second Friday. So luckily, you know, to a lot of people, we look like we've. I know it's beautiful tomorrow. I've got the voice of an angel, but so you know, a lot of people say, you know, why do you need so many animals? And the reason being is for like this time of year. You know, I've got to be very careful with not overusing anybody. We don't cart animals away from home on a full stomach because reptiles need, you know, heat to digest their food. So I've got to rotate who's eating, who's working, who's shedding their skin, which is another reason why, you know, it's probably handy for the next few weeks, this busy period while all the animals are working so hard, to not have an extra night a week where they've got to be pulled out and manhandled. So I hope you guys understand. Everybody's happy birthday tomorrow. I hope you feel popular tomorrow. We all love you. Tamara is a big supporter of our channel. So, let me know if there's any questions or if there's anything I can get out for you. I'll do my best. You know, I am very tired, so my brain might not be firing tonight. G'day, Lily. How are you? So, is Cooper Petey in South Australia? Yeah, Cooper Petey's in South Australia. Apparently, I can't speak to this. Apparently, the words Cooper Petey mean white man in a hole, which I think is amazing. It's a great name. Cooper Petey, everybody lives underground, or you know, about 90% of the population live underground. Basically, it's an open mining town. There's not much out there. But you don't have to go too far from Cooper Petey to start to find inland taipans. So it would be a cool place to visit one day. But yeah, it's in South Australia. It's in the very north of South Australia. You wouldn't get much further north before you cross the border. But yeah, it's certainly in South Australia. So I hope you feel good tomorrow. You're getting happy birthdays left, right and centre. So with our water python here, of all our snakes, water pythons I think have to be one of the coolest. Obviously a lot of people know that they're believed to be by a lot of people affiliated with the rainbow serpent story. You can't really see it because it's not a nice sunny day and we're inside, but this, you know, fairly plain, boring colour, and you get under the sunlight, shines rainbow. It's a pretty snake. But maybe I'll put him away for a bit. We'll get somebody else out, eh? But all right, you guys think of some questions. I'll find somebody else to pull out and talk about for a bit, and we'll see what we can do. Eh? Don't leave. Spots. All right, Mr. Spots. Everybody knows Mr. Spots. We've got a bunch of, you guys know a lot of my animals actually. We've got a bunch of favourites. Nick, if I can return to the Northern Territory, can I do a video on the Centralian calf python? I have a Centralian calf python. I can get him out tonight. I'd love to visit the West McDonald Ranges near Alice Springs, and I will one day. I've got a few people there who know, who have some videos lined up I can do. But it's going to be a while before I can get to the Northern Territory. Once borders are open, rather than like open and might close as soon as I plan something. We've got trips we've got to do to Queensland, one to Brisbane, one to Cairns, the Penrith Reptile Expo. They want us to come back out to their expo in February, so we might be heading up to Sydney and hopefully drumming up a few videos to do at the same time to make the trip sort of worthwhile. So yeah, I've got a few trips planned, and all our shows are coming back. But I would love to get to the Northern Territory. What I'd really like to do is fly into say Darwin, hire a camper van and drive from Darwin to Alice Springs and cover the whole length of the Northern Territory. I think it'd be a cool thing. The other thing is, of course, it's hard for us to travel anywhere. I live in a smallish country town, and there is a distinct lack of people willing to babysit 100 reptiles. Well, actually, funnily enough, the reptiles aren't the hardest part, because like if I go away for 2-3 days, reptiles are okay. But things like the wombat, the possums, I spend half an hour a night cutting up. Well, me or my beautiful wife spend half an hour a night cutting up fruit and vegetables, which is a lot to ask somebody to do if they're not familiar with it. That would be awesome. Yeah, it would be a fantastic trip if we can do the water tour. Bring back the water python. I might not get him out straight away again. I feel bad pulling things out and stuffing them back and pulling them out again. But so this here is Mr. Spots, of course, who's our beautiful spotted python. And the spotted python's found similar range or similar part of the country on the east coast of the water python. But whereas the water python pushes west across the Northern Territory, West Australia, spotted python's found on the east side of the Great Dividing Range. So New South Wales, Queensland border, right to the tip of Cape York, into Papua New Guinea, the Torres Strait, places like that. And these guys are, well and truly smaller than the water python. So this guy's about fully grown, makes them amongst the smallest pythons in the world, and I think they're fantastic. These guys are mammal eaters. They'll eat things like bats, baby bats. They're really well known for feeding on, which I think is pretty cool. What else have people want to know or people want to ask about, eh? For those of you who are jumping on and you missed the beginning, I was basically explaining, we're sort of taking a bit of a forced break from live stream. So there's going to be at least the summer holidays with no live streams, which I feel a little bit guilty about. You can watch the beginning. You'll hear us talk about it all over again. But so just something's got to give at the moment, and which is great. It's great to be so busy. I feel like I sound so unappreciative, but I just can't do everything. I'm one person. So, and of course, at the end of the day, the animals have to come first. So these guys need to be fed, cleaned. If I'm doing too many other things, I don't want care and things to fall behind either. So, Lily, he is cuteness, I think. He's, of all the snakes I've got, and we've got quite a few snakes, if somebody comes up to me and show and they say, I'm terrified of snakes, or grandma's terrified of snakes, could they have a little pat? Mr. Spots is the first one I get out. For a start, he's kind of like having a pet tennis ball. He doesn't do much. So he's very inoffensive. But also he's so cruisy. He's the perfect kindergarten snake. We love Mr. Spots. Very lucky to have him. So, I don't know. Tell me who else. How dare you not be able to work 24/7? Not good enough. I know, Tamara. You're the one who pushes me to work 24. No, I know. I do too much work, which is hard. Like I want to do the best for you guys. Of course, I want to do what's best for the channel as well. But all you guys support me, and I'm so appreciative for it that I don't let you down and not show up. But on the same side, it's our physical shows that pay the bills, and things like that. Is it true that there is a locality of freshwater crocodiles that get to half the size? Yeah, there's a few localities. We call them pygmy crocodiles, but basically they're, if you look at freshwater crocodiles across the north of Australia, on individual rivers they'll push further inland, and at the tops of those rivers into like the escarpment country or sandstone country, where there's basically less food. They're at higher altitudes. They're living in like pools in the sandstone. The freshies there are basically mature and breeding at half the size. A famous place would be Bullow River. Bullow River Station is a famous example of where you get these pygmy freshwater crocodiles. A lot of people thought for a long time they could be a subspecies, well, different species or different subspecies of freshwater crocodile, which I wish they were. It would have been fantastic because it would have given Australia the biggest species of crocodile in the world and the smallest species of crocodile in the world, which would be pretty cool. But it turns out that basically they're genetically distinct. If you go to an Inuit village in Canada, they're going to be a lot shorter than if you go to a Nilote village in Sudan. They're going to be 7 foot tall and the Inuits are going to be 4 foot tall. So we're all the same species though, and that's what the deal is with these crocodiles. It's a local variation in size based on the food availability in this area. So not different enough to be a different species. Which, like I said, humans are a fantastic example. We are one of the most diverse animals in the world. I know you'll support me tomorrow. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Do salties and freshies outgrow their enclosures? 2 more reasons crocs are put in boxes. 3rd reason is crocs can't hurt themselves. Yeah, so all species of crocodiles will outgrow their enclosures. There's a myth with crocodiles that crocodiles will stop growing when they get to the size of their enclosure. And in some situations, that their growth can be stunted, but it's not that they're going to stop growing. It's going to slow down, and it's going to slow down as a result of stress. They can't move around. They can't behave normally. They're not going to eat properly, and you can make them quite sick, and they'll grow less well. But they won't, they won't just stop growing at the size of their goldfish bowl sort of thing. So you can't keep them small by keeping them in a small tank. Also, they can't hurt themselves. So Australia Zoo, lots of places move them in wooden crates. It's a lot safer for human beings for a start, and a lot safer for crocodiles. The problem with crocodiles, especially salties, they're just so powerful. You're talking about an animal that can smash himself up under his own strength by thrashing around and fighting. So got to be very careful moving them. Could I record one of my shows? I'd love to record some of my shows. I've thought about it, and I probably will at some point in time. My difficulty is, like a lot of my shows, I'm being paid to go to. So they're actually somebody's private event. So I can't really just, do you mind me filming? And if I do film, do I have to have all the audience okay with being in a video? So I've got to think of a way to do it. And make it work well. Unless, I had a second person who can film me doing the show. But generally I'm by myself. This summer holidays, every Wednesday I've got to go to Port Fairy, which is an hour and a half south of me, and we've got 4 caravan park shows I'm doing. So I drive to one, do a show, drive to the next, do a show, drive to the next, do a show, drive to the next, do a show, come home. Every Friday I've got one down that way again. Every Saturday I've got one in Warrnambool and Port Campbell, so 2 hours apart, both 2 hours from here. And on Sundays I'm in Apollo Bay, which is 3 hours from here. So I spend a lot of time driving around by myself. I do shows by myself, and it makes filming them a little bit hard. I have a pet duck. I used to have a pet duck called Bubba, and he was amazing. He was good fun. He hated me. He was obsessed with my partner at the time, but he was a pretty cool animal. Doesn't have anyone record, but it'd be great if he could. Yeah, that's my problem. I've only got so many hands. And I could put it up on a tripod. But it makes it hard. If it's on a tripod, it's got to be behind the audience, so it's not cutting them off. Hope your car's good on petrol. Yeah, my car is is an issue. What's my thought on killing animals such as crocodiles and foxes for their skin? Really hate killing animals for their body parts. Look, it's a really contentious issue. For a bunch of reasons. Obviously, there's also specific situations. So somebody killing foxes for their fur in Russia, where they're farmed in tiny cages, is very different to, say, Australia, where they're a feral species. so that they're going to be shot or poisoned. And if their skins can recoup some of the costs to help eradicate an invasive species, then maybe, that's fine. Unfortunately, the skins aren't worth anything because, you know, the favour's falling out. Crocodiles is another really tricky one. I personally don't like, I'm not a fan of crocodile skin. It looks cool, but I wouldn't, you know, buy a crocodile skin backpack or something. But I have to acknowledge the fact that if it wasn't for the crocodile skin industry, crocodiles, at least in Australia, would probably be extinct. The thing with crocodiles is they fall under this category. If you want to be conserved as a species, you've either got to be cute and cuddly, or you have to make somebody money. And crocodiles aren't cute and cuddly. So, you know, in the 1970s, you know, people shot crocodiles left, right, and centre for the skin trade. So it sounds weird that skin can preserve them, but once, you know, they were protected, people kept shooting crocodiles. Once we had the crocodile harvesting industry come in, what the crocodile harvesting industry, and it can be done different ways. I think a great example is here in Australia. If you compare Queensland to the Northern Territory, in Queensland, crocodile farms have to breed their own crocodiles, which doesn't build any incentive to preserve wild crocodiles. You know, wild crocodiles in Queensland could go extinct and the farming industry would continue. The Northern Territory, which is basically the epitome, as far as I'm aware, the Northern Territory is the only place on the planet to have brought a potentially man-eating predator back to its original, you know, pre-colonial population. And the way that they've done this is they've basically taken crocodiles, wild crocodiles, and crocodile habitats and made them worth money. Not just through the tourism industry, which is obviously a big part of it, but also through egg collection. So in the Northern Territory, rather than breed crocodiles in a farm, which, you know, they breed some, but most of the eggs come from wild nests. So the government basically map out crocodile distribution in the Northern Territory. They pick out the areas with very, very low survival rates. Usually, you know, seasonal wetlands, places where the eggs are going to get flooded out, things like this. And the farmers who own that land, who prior to this system would have got permission to shoot the crocodiles because they're eating cattle. Now, let's say they lose $10,000 worth of cattle a year, which is nothing as far as cattle goes. They could lose a lot more. I know places that lose $100,000 worth of cattle to crocodiles. So let's say he loses $10,000 worth of crocodiles, worth of cattle to crocs. Rather than shoot them, if he's able to sell the egg collecting rights on his land to a crocodile farm for $20,000, suddenly he's going to be like, you know what, maybe we won't shoot those adult crocodiles. They make me more money than they cost me. And because of this, we've now got properties that have basically fenced off crocodile habitat and allow crocodiles to live there because they're worth more there than they are if they got rid of them. It's a real shame that that's what it's taken, but we can't really deny the fact that the Northern Territory has conserved crocodiles better than any other place on earth. You skip from the Northern Territory to Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, saltwater crocodiles are much, much lower populations. So it's a shame, you know, whether we like it or not, we have to admit whether it works or not. Is there such thing as a lemuroid ringtail possum? Yeah, there's ringtail possums. I love ringtail possums. I breed ringtail possums every year, the common eastern ringtail possums. But yeah, once you get up to the Daintree, Cairns, places like that, you get green ringtails, lemuroid ringtails, striped ringtails, and New Guinea's got like a dozen ringtail species. They're really cool. Where do I live in Australia? I live in southwestern Victoria, way down the bottom of the country. No crocodiles here. Very well explained. Thank you very much, Lily. I have 2 ducks. They are 2.5 months. How do I decide whether they are male or female? I'm not an expert on ducks, but it's pretty much impossible until they're adults. Lace monitors and Tasmanian devils have something in common. Both like to eat rotting carrion. Yeah, so they're both lace or monitors in general in Australia fill an interesting role. The same sort of role that devils do. They're that mid-sized predator that's missing from a lot of Australian ecosystems. So like overseas, that role's filled by things like mongoose and small cats and things like that. In Australia, the monitors fill that role, especially as a diurnal predator. You know, we've got the quolls and the Tasmanian devils who come out at night time as that medium-sized predator scavenger. But yeah, the monitors fill that role. All right, I'll pop this guy away. Maybe I'll turn the light on. It's getting a bit dark in here. Ta-da! And we'll get something else out. Would you like to see something venomous? We can get out Rowdy or Pongo or Nala or Brutus. our regulars should know all those. So it's a test. Let me know. I'm going to see if I can do something about this light, make it less glary. But sorry for jumping around a bit today, guys, but I am knackered. There we go. Better. Brutus. Bunch of people haven't seen Brutus in a while. Bye, Mr. Spots. What, Mr. Oh, bye, Mr. Spots. I get you. Do I watch Animal Planet? I used to watch Animal Planet. I used to love Animal Planet. Unfortunately, Animal Planet's gone downhill. The days of Crocodile is gone, and it's Duck Dynasty, which is really the opposite of what Animal Planet used to represent. So yeah, I don't watch Animal Planet anymore. No Rowdy Night. I don't want to see me die. Funnily enough, Pongo seems to be the one that's. I don't want to jinx myself, but Pongo seems to be the one that's playing up the last few days. All right, we'll get out Brutus, eh? Alrighty, so this is the man, the myth, the legend. Brutus is our red-bellied black snake. You'll have to excuse me, as I said, he shed his skin this morning, so he's still got a few little scraggly bits under his chin, but I don't see any of you guys coming to pick him off from his chin, so they'll come off in the next day or so. But Brutus is, of course, a red-bellied black snake. He's everybody's favourite, and as I always say, the red-bellied black snake is basically responsible for 16% of Australian snake bites. But virtually none of our deaths. I can't find a record of a death from an adult human being. Have I still got the third Dugite? Yeah, we've still got the third Dugite. I should give her a name, like she's going to be here for a while. So yeah, we've got Pongo, Perdita, and the third Dugite. But so this red-bellied black snake, they found the whole east coast of Australia. It's a bit of a mystery that they don't turn up in Tasmania. Tasmania is good habitat for them. And the only thing that I can think of, because they're found just on the Victorian side of the Bass Strait, is that, back when Tasmania and mainland Australia were connected, when, copperheads and tiger snakes moved down into Tasmania, that whatever habitat was between here and there wasn't suitable for the red belly. Because on the other side, it's certainly suitable for the red belly. And there's plenty of frogs in Tasmania to eat, but yeah, so there's got to be a reason why red bellies never made it down there. Being live bearing, they survived down there just fine. You should start a TV show. I'd love to start a TV show, mate, but we got to convince somebody to do it. I can talk about animals, but I need somebody to film it and somebody to edit it, and they cost a lot of money. So if somebody is involved in television out there and they want a presenter, I am keen as a bean. But yeah, good boy. Old Brutus hasn't been on a live stream for a while. So yeah, besides the fact that these guys don't turn up in Tasmania, they're found Victoria, South Australia, New South Wales, right up into North Queensland. The further north you go, the more of a brown nose they get, and the southern population's jet black from end to end. And down here, these guys are often mistaken for copperheads. I get a few call-outs from time to time, people finding red-bellied black snakes, and whenever I get there, they're a copperhead. And they're a great example, that you can't identify a snake based on colour. Just because a snake's black doesn't make it a black snake. Not all brown snakes are brown snakes. So yeah, it's a bit misleading, but this is one species that you should be able to identify based on colour. Even with copperheads, which can get quite dark and have sort of a bright orange belly, no matter how dark a copperhead gets, red belly is sort of this glossy black, whereas copperheads are sort of a matte black. But the thing with identifying snakes, a lot of people want to know how to identify snakes, and it's really hard. The best way I can describe it, and I don't know how many people here are horsey people, but I tell people if you go to a horse event with a girl or somebody who knows a bit about horses, they'll be able to tell you, that one's a stock horse, that one's an Arabian, this one's a quarter horse. And when you say, how do you know that? They say, well, they'll just look different. And the thing with identifying snakes is there's no one rule. Facebook loves sharing these memes where it's like, if it's got a round pupil, it's harmless, and an elliptical pupil, it's venomous. Whereas all of our venomous snakes in Victoria, I don't know if you can see, he's got black eyes anyway. but all of our venomous snakes have round pupils. So, or most of our venomous snakes have round pupils. So yeah, these rules don't work. It's a combination of all these things that, lots of little features. Something about, I think Tamara said that small-eyed snakes get mistaken for red bellies, which, yeah, they certainly do, and that's a pretty easy one to do. The other one down here is white-lipped snakes. I've had a few white-lipped snakes that people have misidentified as baby red bellies. So, yeah. He is such a good boy. I love this snake. So, I can see why he's everybody's favourite. I'll put him away so I can answer some questions, because obviously it's a bit hard to read while I'm playing with venomous snakes. But you've been a good boy. I don't know if he's going to hear me while I put things away, but I'll talk along anyway. Alright. Got to stay awake. Definitely a good boy. He is a good boy. He's the best boy. I know Chris Humphrey did an animal show. He tried to have his tiger quolls to mate. Yeah, I know Chris well. And yeah, he's bred tiger quolls quite a few times. I'd love to have tiger quolls here. If we're hoping to move on to another property or something, maybe we'll get quolls in the future. Fortunately, quolls are quite hard to get our hands on these days. With all this spare time that I know I've got lots of spare time coming out my ears. A king brown's immune to their own venom. I know this happened on Bondi Vet, but king brown bit his own tail. Yes, most snakes seem to be immune to their own venom. So yeah, king browns included. They also seem to have a fairly distinct tolerance for other snake venoms because king browns eat venomous snakes. After healing, the snake had to be milked for venom. Yeah, so black snake anti-venom is, well, Bondi Vet, the TV show Bondi Vet, they have a fairly close working relationship with the Australian Reptile Park. So it probably wasn't that the snake had to be milked for venom, it's just he's a snake that they keep to milk for venom because all the anti-venom in Australia comes from venom produced at the Australian Reptile Park. So he's probably one of their venom production snakes. He happened to bite himself, makes for an interesting topic on TV, but his job is to produce venom for anti-venom production. And interestingly, black snake anti-venom is made using the venom from mulga snakes or king brown snakes. Because the king brown's actually a black snake, not a brown snake. I can get one out for you if you like. We can get out a king brown. And because they produce such large quantities of venom, and because their venom works very well over most of the black snake bites, black snake anti-venom is used by mulga or black king brown snake venom. Interestingly, if you're bitten by a red belly, you're treated generally, preference is with tiger snake anti-venom. Because while the red belly is part of the black snake family, you've got all the black snakes in Australia, lay eggs. Red-bellied black snake gives birth to live young, is way over one side of the family. Yes, get Nala out. We can get Nala, the king brown of the mulga out. Brutus is gorgeous. G'day TC, how are you doing? Thank you very much for coming. Do I keep my lace monitors outside? My Lacey's outside at the moment. Yeah, she's been inside over the last winter, but I'd like to keep her outdoors from now on in. But we'll see how it goes. I know this is a random question. Do you think we are alone in the universe? Ooh, we're getting deep. Are we alone in the universe? I am a humble snake keeper, but if the universe is as endless as we make it out to be, it's almost impossible that we're the only living thing out there. On the flip side, if the universe is as big as it's meant to be, it's also almost impossible that the 2, 3, multiple hundred things that exist are ever going to cross paths. So, yeah, might not be, but we'll probably never know. My humble opinion. Alright, we'll get out Nala. Got a dart, people, catch you all. No worries, thank you for popping by, Kyle. Brutus is gorgeous. What subjects did I study in high school? Woodwork, because I got to build reptile enclosures. Outdoor education, biology, English. I'll get out Nala. Hey, beautiful. Alrighty, so this here is Nala. Nala is our king brown or mulga snake. So this species is, in my opinion, the biggest venomous snake in the country. The coastal taipan, and I know I say this every time, but as I always say, the facts don't change week to week. So the mulga snake is, in my opinion, the biggest venomous snake in the country. So the coastal taipan has been recorded getting slightly longer, but a 3 metre coastal taipan is not as bulky as a 3 metre mulga. So, in my opinion, in terms of size, rather than just length, the mulga is the biggest venomous snake in the country. And Nala here is what we call a Kununurra mulga. So this species of mulga, or this locality of mulga snake, from the top end of Western Australia, is about as big as mulgas are going to get. So, you know, Kununurra, she's a female, she won't get to be a record breaker, but Kununurras have been recorded at 3 meters, 10 feet in length. So that's a very big venomous snake. We're talking about probably the biggest, again, it's tricky, but I say the biggest venom yield of any Australian snake. Again, there's records of coastal taipans giving bigger venom yields. But if we're talking about the average venom yield, then the mulga has the highest average venom yield of any Australian snake, as far as the literature that I've read goes. So, you know, I'm always happy to stand corrected if something's new, but you do not want to sit still for me, do you? Maybe we'll rearrange this a little bit. If she's more comfortable on the ground, we'll leave her on the ground. Do not go behind there, though. Wait, don't go out there either. Alright, so you guys will have to chat amongst yourselves, or I'll get back on your questions in a minute. But yeah, so Nala here, king brown snake or mulga snake, and the name king brown is obviously a bit misleading. As I've already said, these guys are in the black snake family, not the brown snake family. The name basically comes from, a lot of people say it's a terrible name then, and look, I get it, it probably is, but at the end of the day, it's a brown coloured snake, or a lot of them are brown coloured snakes. So yeah, colour doesn't mean family, it just means where it comes from. The king part of her name comes from the fact that this guy is a snake eater. So king cobras eat snakes, king snakes eat snakes, king browns eat snakes. She's the king of snakes. So it's not because she's big. She's also significantly less venomous than an eastern brown snake or something like this. So, you know, king brown snakes have a bad reputation, and I think it basically comes down to their name. Oh, if the brown snake's bad, the king brown snake has to be worse. But no, she's nothing that bad at all. So if I can get you a little bit of faces. I love this snake. She doesn't love all my snakes, but she does have a funny little face. She was born with a bit of a jaw deformity, so she's got a bulldog look. Little lump on the front of her face, which it's just a little bony growth. It's been there her whole life. And most vets don't want to get close enough to have a good look at it. But yeah, she's a very cool snake. And one species that everybody in Victoria, a lot of people in Victoria tell me that, you know, they've seen king brown snakes. There's never been a reliable record of a king brown snake in Victoria. They have been found as little as 4 kilometres the other side of the border. So it's very possible, probable even, that they either exist in Victoria or have existed in Victoria. But it's important to note that that border is not an imaginary line. It's the 3rd biggest river on the planet, the Murray River. So there is a physical barrier, the Murray River. But yeah, these guys have been recorded no king brown snakes in Victoria, just plenty of big, regular brown snakes. But we'll give her a kiss goodbye, show everybody. And I'll answer some questions and we'll get somebody else out for a little while, eh? Let me know if anybody else has popped on, say hello. Maybe we'll get out this Centralian carp. Alrighty. Somebody was asking before if we could do a video on the Centralian carpet python. And yeah, I'm not going to be able to get out to Alice Springs anytime soon. I'd love to. But I can introduce you to this guy here. This is Koovu. Every time I say that at a show, people go, COVID? I'm like, no, Koovu. And, and he got that name because my daughter's obsessed with the Lion King. And she wanted to give that name, which is why we've got Nala. She wanted to name something Koovu, and I said, well, may as well be something that's not going to kill you if you touch it. So the Centralian carpet python became Koovu. What have we missed? Does arboreal mean tree climbing? Yeah, so arboreal means, you know, an animal that lives in trees or climbs trees as a part of its regular life. I wouldn't just because something can climb trees, like wormer pythons have been recorded in trees, but we wouldn't go as far as calling them arboreal because it's not considered a regular, you know, part of their lifestyle. They're capable of it, but yeah, we can swim. Doesn't make us aquatic. But yeah, arboreal snakes are snakes that live in trees. Nicely put. Thank you, Basil. I know many Australians who just have climbed trees to catch lizards. I know Chris Humphrey climbed a gum tree like a koala. Yeah, so, you know, anything that's arboreal lives in trees. Yeah. Do I keep saltwater crocs? I've kept quite a few saltwater crocodiles. I've worked with a lot of big saltwater crocodiles. So my first serious job working with wildlife was in Townsville. So I did 3 croc feeding shows a day with, you know, like 4.5, 5 meter crocodiles. The 2 crocodiles we've got currently are both freshies. Not because, you know, they're easy to handle. If anything, freshies actually don't tolerate shows as well as salties in my experience. They're a little bit more high stress. Just the way it worked out that the 2 crocodiles that were given to me were both freshwater crocodiles. But yeah, I have kept quite a few salties. Snakes have a reason for everything they do. They certainly do. You know, these are energy efficient animals. They don't exert energy just for the sake of exerting energy. If they're going somewhere to check it out. Oh my God, you got that Steve Irwin's classic excited voice when I talk about animals. I think I just sound Australian. Mind you, I think I sound Australian. Most people overseas think I sound Australian. But the amount of Aussies who are like, are you a Kiwi? I'm like, no, I'm not a Kiwi. They think my accent comes from somewhere else, but no, just plain old Australian. Piece of advice, I think you should sacrifice your time for the growth of this YouTube channel. I'm 100% sure one day you'll be able to make the channel as big as Brave Wilderness. I'd love to. The problem is, I already put a lot of time into this channel. So, you know, we put maybe 10 hours a week, 6 to 10 hours a week into our channel, which I will continue to put time into our channel. But I've been doing that for 6 years. And currently, at the end of the day, I want the channel to grow. The channel is going to be an important part of what we do. But the live streams are basically a labour of love. The regular videos, we make a couple of bucks on AdSense and things like that. Not much, but enough to justify the time. The live streams, I love it because it builds our community. But I've got to pay my bills and I don't want to rob my kids of my time either. I've got to finish this. I've got to go around and feed the rest of the animals, feed the horses, feed the working dogs, and I've got to go inside and bottle feed my 10-week-old son. So, you know, my day will end at midnight and it will start again at 6 a.m. And my kids deserve better than not having me. So, yeah, we will keep putting into the channel. You don't have to worry about that. But, you know, we're never going to be as big as Brave Wilderness. So what's my age? I'm 31, mate. How old are you? G'day, Devilly. How are you? Hope everyone has a good, safe, festive season. Have a very Merry Christmas to you. Literally doesn't have any time to spare. Yeah, that's it, Tamara. Tamara knows well. Tamara's a good friend, like, outside of just doing our videos. So she knows full well, like, how much... Basically, all our Patreon supporters are probably pretty familiar with just how much effort I put into all this. We do our best, but... yeah, I still have to work full time. We've got to pay for this house. And our long-term goal, we've got this other property we're looking at, which, you know, will make the channel even better, but it's going to take a sacrifice now. So it's tricky. But what do? I can't do everything. Wild Action presents monitors, python, skinks, koalas. Chris Humphrey presented a black-headed python. Also, can't survive Victoria. Yeah, Chris Humphrey, Wild Action, cool business. They got lots of animals. I display the same sort of stuff. We don't own koalas, but I got a bunch of koala videos. And we're going to put out. We don't have any pythons in the South Victoria. The only 2 pythons are Darling, right up like on the Murray River, and the diamond python. Merry Christmas to you too, CT. Merry Christmas to you. You'll have to excuse me butchering the name, but Saniru, I won't try with the surname. My surname's Petropolis, so I got a hell of one, but that one probably beats mine. I was always told snakes won't eat something if it's too big, but recently seen a photo of a snake that ate a bigger meal. Yeah, so snakes are notorious for their stomach will be, their eyes will be bigger than their stomach. So it's a total myth that snakes will if you keep snakes, sorry for jumping around. If you keep snakes, you probably will have somebody at the point in your snake keeping career come up to you and say, a friend of mine, or my aunt's dog's last owner, or my second cousin's ex-boyfriend's twice removed cousin has a pet snake, and it free ranges their house, and it stretches out next to them in bed, and they went to the vet, and the vet told them to get rid of it because it's measuring them to eat them. Snakes do not measure their prey, and a great example is the fact that snakes will swallow things bigger than they can eat. So there is a video, a photo of a Burmese python that's eaten an alligator and split open. Some people say that it was halfway through eating it and another alligator's bit it and that's why it's burst open. But years and years and years ago, I had a snake, well before I did shows, I had a baby olive python escape from his enclosure and get into my chicken coop in the front yard. And I caught him, and he had a chicken in him, and he had 2 splits down his side. He was this football. I took 6 weeks off live streams when our son was born, then I've jumped back into it, I've done my best. But now we've got all these shows coming up, and at the end of the day, our physical shows, visiting people is we can teach a lot of people, but also it's because these animals are they're not cheap to keep and feed and look after, and obviously the last thing we can do now it's his, we've lost him. I'm gonna have to wrap things up in a little bit, guys. My internet's cutting out. Making dingoes and rock walls. Yeah, there's plenty of python, particularly rainbow serpent inspired python paintings around the country. And we'll be back after this busy period. We'll have Christmas, we'll get the summer holidays out of the way, things will settle down. We hopefully have some plans, some things coming up, but 6 weeks, something like that, we'll be back. Videos out. I'll try and get some more shorts videos out to make up for it. Thank you to all my Patreon supporters, especially for putting up orders, Perth reptile relocations, Warrnambool wildlife encounters, Jeremy snake catching, and all our individual Patreon supporters as well. Tamara, Basil, guys like you're all amazing. But thanks for watching, guys. Check on back on Sunday. We're down to what our 4th most invasive species in the country, but things will go back to normal. I will be back to live streams soon. Gotta make a call, and I'd rather not do it than do it sometimes and have you guys waiting for me. But lagged out in the end. I'm sorry, Tamara, I know. All right, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up there. But have a very Merry Christmas, guys.